No, there's no podcast in the works, everyone. I told everyone it was never locked in. It was something I was planning, and it just didn't work out, honestly. So I'm not doing any podcasts, no. In reality, the truth of the matter is that I don't want to go on a podcast and have it, instead of being something positive, turn into something negative. And I'm actually not saying anything against any hosts or anything. It has nothing to do with that. What honestly I'm afraid of is, like, let's say I go on a podcast and all the haters, which you know they would show up, okay? So now you have a new audience of people who are being exposed to me for the first time. I don't need the sea glide fragment. A new, group of people being exposed to me for the first time. They look at a chat and all they see is people saying, "Oh, this is the guy who masturbated in front of thousands of children and is a pedophile and abuses women and he had an escort." And, like every negative thing that's ridiculously untrue about me, all being said at once in one area. And all that's going to happen is anyone newcomer who hears about me will be like, what the fuck is that? Right? And in addition, I hate to say it, one of the actual things I'm really afraid of if I were to do a podcast is people coming in and saying really insulting things about my girlfriend. Because, they try to, and I can control that in my own streams. Like I have a mod team that makes sure that stuff gets taken care of. When you're on someone else's podcast, you're at the reliance of whoever is working on that podcast, and you can't say, "Oh, by the way, if I'm going to be on your podcast, you better have like a crack team of mods to make sure that people don't come in and insult my girlfriend's personal life or her looks or stuff about her past that's nothing to fucking do with anything related to me." Yeah, you can't. And so after weighing and balancing all the things that could happen, I said, I just don't think it was worth it. Like, the overwhelming amount of negative shit that could have happened as a result of this podcast versus any potential positives, I think the negatives outweighed the positives. And because of that, I said, you know what, I just don't think it's worth it to fuck with it. It's a shame because I think it would have been something neat and something different to do. It's definitely outside of my comfort zone and the kind of stuff that normally I would have done. And I probably would have enjoyed doing it. Because, as you guys know, I've been on talk shows before or whatever, and I enjoy it. I enjoy discussing topics with people and just shooting the shit or whatever, which is actually exactly what it was going to be. There was only going to be a short segment about me. I was actually going to sit in on this show, this normal podcast these guys do, and be like a guest and talk about news topics and all kinds of fun stuff. But sadly, when I realized how much trolling I would have gotten, not only me but my girlfriend as well, I said, this is not worth it, Ladies
and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom. I guess welcome to the boardroom. I'm not really sure what to call this, but
I don't. A special edition of the news.
There we go.
Breaking news. No more podcast.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing, ladies and gentlemen. No Eyes of March this year. It's horrible. But don't worry, I might have a skit coming for you guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we'll just call this a special report, if you will, or a breaking report. I'm here with G Money, as most of you guys know. If not, the link to everything of him will be in the description. By the way, there is no podcast. The podcast is gone, ladies and gentlemen.
Dave has vaginaed out of it.
He has smothered himself in bacon grease and slithered his way right out. Now, at the beginning of this and at the end, I'll actually put DSP's reasoning for this in the video so you guys can kind of see it. It'll be at the beginning and at the end. You have to listen to it twice because it's Phil and it's Phil. His reason will change in about a week. But
absolutely.
We're here with G Money, and the reason why this came about is G Money has extensively watched and observed what was supposed to be the Drunken Peasants. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I've been a fan not since their inception, but around episode 70, 80, around that, I know much when it comes to the Drunken Peasants podcast. I watched it for a long time. I know the ins and outs. And basically the podcast changed its dynamics when 3 of the 4 peasants basically left to create another podcast called The Fat Fried. But one of the original creators, Ben, and the 5th actual Drunken Peasant, you might know him. He is, of course, Billy the Fridge. The split basically happened at the end of last year, December of 2017, I believe. So, around in almost a half ago. But here's the thing. A lot of people were thinking, oh, well, Dave's going to get roasted. Dave's going to get, basically some bacon was going to be cooking.
Yes.
But I was like, no, because Ben has, and don't get me wrong, I respect Ben for the work that he's put into the podcast and stuff like that, and I like him as an entertainer. But he has, let's just say, bended the knee when it comes to certain people like Maddox, like Sam Pepper and stuff like that. So I didn't think they would watch Dave videos and treat Dave like the manatee. And if you know the Drunken Peasants, you know that reference to Brett Keane and the other basically locals that they covered for the years. So I didn't thought that was gonna be. I just thought that they were gonna have Dave to talk about politics, to talk about some crazy videos from crazy people, and that would have been it. Of course, Dave would have exposed himself like the moron he is because it's Dave, and let's be honest, it's Dave. That's all I need to say. So he would have had some enjoyment out of it, of course, but I didn't think he would get roasted basically. Now, there's also a bit of misconception because we have two different things. First off, Dave was like, "Oh, they're not gonna make fun of me because he saw that some of his ass lickers were like, oh, Dave, don't go to the or excuse me, Phil, our Lord and Savior and Gout, don't go on the podcast because you're gonna get humiliated." And Dave was like, "What? No, they want me in studio. They want me to play some Street Fighter because I was the fourth best ranked player in Evo like a million years ago. So." I'm great when it comes to fighting games to Street Fighter. They want me in studio, so we have this. Now Ben, because people were also kind of bothering Ben with this. Oh, you're gonna have DSP. Well, he jerked off in front of kids. We all know the history because sadly that's what he's most known for, to being the guy that jerked off on screen, yes. on stream. It is what it is. Nothing you can do about it, I guess. Snort. So, they were bothering Ben, and Ben was like, "What? We're just gonna have him on a Skype call and watch videos. Like, I don't care." And Ben said, "Yeah, Dave has some low-cow tendencies." And they played the video where he jerks off prior to him playing Neo, and they kind of laughed at it. It was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but that's what I think was gonna happen. Them just having Dave on a Skype call, but now Dave's like, no, because he doesn't have complete control over the Drunken Peasants chat when the show's going to be live, right? And he's like, well, I'm going to be exposed to your brand new audience, and we're going to have the trolls and the haters and the mentally ill people saying like, oh, I masturbated on stream, I did this, I did that, and they're going to insult Cat, my horse, so I don't want that. And hey man, don't laugh. Like, horses are very easily scared.
Okay, I'm
don't
sorry.
Laugh at them, please.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I mean, didn't you see what that dastardly person called Tevin did on Halloween?
I did.
Come on. It was Tevin's fault.
Tevin's fault.
So that's the situation. Now Dave doesn't want to go on the podcast, and he said, "Oh, well, nothing was set in stone. Did this and that," because of course Dave has to negotiate 50 fucking times. Right. Now here's what I think happened, right? Because no matter what you might hear about Ben and Billy, my perception of them, especially Billy and Ben also, they're really friendly people. And since they're both in the Seattle area, I think they will basically like, hey, Phil, if you want to come to the studio and chill, maybe play some games, smoke a joint, whatever, you can come and we can chill. You know what I mean? And seeing this, I guess Phil doesn't want any friends, or he doesn't, or he's just fucking afraid to leave his pig pen. I don't know. But I assume he declined, hence why he said that they wanted him in studio. And again, I have no proof to back this up. This is just my, this is what I think possibly happened. I might be 100% wrong, don't get me wrong. And I know how stupid that said. That's not with me saying wrong 2 times in a row. But with that being said, I think he declined, and he wanted to have people that he knows be the moderators for the show that he was on. So basically, have Swaggins, have his other ass lickers be the ones to delete and block people that would be saying negative things about him while he was on the show. And while Ben, again, he kind of bended the knee and modified the show a bit to not bring up certain topics and stuff like that, which, hey, whatever. But I think he drew the line on, no, dude, like, fuck off. Like, we're not gonna have that. I'm not gonna give you complete control over the chat. And they was like, okay, well, then I don't want to be on your podcast. Like a spoiled child. And that was the end of that.
Well, okay, so I have some questions then. So you said it's Ben and Billy?
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing is that
Plus a guest or two, usually.
okay. So the first thing I'd like to get an understanding of with the peasants is you said originally there's always been four of them, yeah?
Well, for the longest time there were four, and about 2 years ago they wanted to expand, because what basically happened was all four of them moved to Seattle from Louisiana,
Okay.
and then TJ, Paul, and Scotty, who were the other three main peasants at the time, they moved back to Louisiana, and Ben basically stayed in Seattle. And they had to do the show for Skype, and they were having technical, difficulties and stuff like that. They were bringing in guests, because I think at that point they did 2 or 3 shows a week. So on Monday, for example, they would have TJ, Paul, and a guest. On another day, they would have maybe Scotty, TJ, Paul, and two guests or something like that. So they would always change and rotate, and they wanted to expand the show like that. Ultimately, something happened, and you can look at that for yourself. Where TJ, because TJ and Ben, TJ is also the Amazing Atheist, by the way. He has a channel with over 1 million subs, but they had a dispute, and TJ left Ben the channel, and he opened up his new podcast called Deep Fat Freud with his friend Paul and his brother Scotty. So that's where they are right now. But the show continued. It's still decent. I still watch it from time to time. It's entertaining. They have multiple segments, like the politics segment. They have a segment where they look at videos made by crazy people. If you're familiar with the podcast, like about G-Man, Gail, and stuff like that. So it is an entertaining show. I'm not gonna lie about that. You also have a cringy rap segment ever since Billy became a peasant. So it's a fun show. When it comes to you, Phil, again, all they most likely wanted to do is have him on to talk about some politics, which it would be really interesting to see what Dave's stance on, like, Trump or immigration or climate change or even on religion is, because we don't really know too much about that. He's just the guy that streams games and bitches and complains and calls everyone morons and idiots. But we don't really know what he thinks about the world. Oh, hey, what do you think about the Middle East, Dave? You know what I mean? So those are the kind of things that will come up. Maybe he was afraid and he didn't want to talk about those subjects. Maybe he looked more into the show's history and what the segments are, and was like, I don't want people to know about that. That might be a possibility. Again, I don't know. But also in my mind, Dave doing his due diligence and looking up something before doing something stupid, that doesn't mix, because he's always a moron. So maybe he didn't. Again, I don't know the behind the scenes thing, so I can only speculate.
No problem. The next thing I'd like for you to bring up, because it's important, is talk about a little bit for the audience so they can kind of get an understanding of who the manatee is and what is his connection is to the peasants. The reason why, and then I'll throw my next question to you after that. But if we set up that circumstance, maybe people will people will understand why we were hoping to see the public burning that sadly we might not.
Oh my God! Go look up Drunken Peasants, episode 166. They had the manatee on, Brett Keane. I mean, it's impossible to even properly explain who Brett Keane is unless you've experienced Brett Keane, the manatee. Because there's so much history there. He was in the beginning of YouTube, like 2006, 2007. He was a very popular atheist, where having 10,000 subs back then was a huge thing, right? And he's actually the reason why TJ became a YouTuber in the first place. And TJ and Paul, since they've kind of bought him Brett's bullshit back in the day, and they thought Brett was a really cool guy, right? They kind of looked up to him. They saw him as a figure of like, this is a cool guy. He does these atheist videos. I'm very interested in that topic. I want to make my own content, right? That vlog style, that type of video that was so popular back then. It even still is, but the format kind of evolved over time, as it should. But at one point in 2007, 2008, Brett did some questionable things, like he plagiarized the Judy Burnett poem. He flagged people, he doxed people, and so he was perma-banned by YouTube. He basically told people that he was gonna lose his house, but then when people looked at his Amazon wish list, the sum was exact, like I think it was 2,000 something bucks. The same sum that he wanted that money. So he was basically kind of exposing himself to be a giant piece of shit. Now with the podcast, they've kind of actually no. First off, they had this religion discussion. If you want to look for the video, it's called the religion debate and the religion debate you, where it's a very drunken high TJ and Ben versus Breaking and his group of cronies, and they're talking about religion and stuff like that. It's really funny to hear what they have to say about that and their beliefs. But also, Brett is the type of guy who, if he doesn't like you, he's gonna call you a pedophile. That's his favorite thing. Oh, actually, at one point, in one of his hangouts, because he does like 8 hour hangouts, or he used to, and he basically have like, hey, your situation, run the show for me while I go get myself a haircut, and he will just leave for hours on end, for whatever reason. But anyway, he had someone one time who was like, hey, who are you? And he's like, my name is Dan. I went to high school with TJ, and I saw he was so rude to you, Brett, and I have some information. Oh, really? I thought we were just going to talk about Pokemon Go and stuff like that. But now you have some info on TJ. Yeah, TJ actually raped a person in high school and paid off their family. That's why he never finished high school. And then Brett says, oh my God, I can't believe that. These are your words. I didn't say this. I'm like, he clearly had one guy come in and talk some bullshit. Yeah. And if he wanted it to be taken seriously, like, there's a channel that compiled every segment that the peasants had on their show featuring Breaking. They actually had a segment with its own intro called the individual Breaking segment situation. And there's just search on YouTube Breaking situation part 1 of 7 or something like that. There's someone that compiled, I think it's almost 70 hours of content if you want to see who Breaking is, because I can talk for hours and you still wouldn't get it unless you watch him and unless you hear what he has to say. I mean, he called Mao Zedong the rind of Zhao the Dong at some point, which is, he has these Keanisms, right? What he says, that instead of the no true Scotsman, excuse me, fallacy, he calls it the old Scotsman. And he has all these things. Instead of saying venue, he says venue. He used to call oh my God, what was his name? This really famous Angelical Christian, but like whatever. Actually, if you Google Keanisms, you'll I think it's the very first link. You'll just see a page of all of the things he fucks up when he speaks. So this dude is a 100% clown. Again, I can talk for hours. You won't get it, but I kind of get the feeling that people were expecting Dave to get the Manatees treatment. He wouldn't have. He would have gotten the Maddox treatment where it's like, oh, let's watch some videos, let's comment on them, and that would have been it. Which I would have been fine with that. I just saw that people were having too big of an expectation out of the whole podcast, where just seeing Dave's opinion on the Middle East or on religion or on Trump or on Bernie Sanders or just things like that, I think will be really interesting to see, because we don't know.
We don't, but I mean? We can assume. So let me jump in for just a second. Isn't it possible? Isn't it possible that Phil, like you said earlier, Phil may have done a little bit of research and saw that he wouldn't be able to keep up with the conversation and was like, no, I don't want any part of this. Like, we know that Phil likes to pick his spots, because you and I have talked about this, where he'll pick his spots when it comes to politics or certain things in the news and so on and so forth. But he never draws out his full idea or his full thought process on it. He only says a snippet, something that he probably gripped off Twitter or he picked up off of an Onion article or some shit, and then he runs with that, and then he never explains himself. He never allows anybody in the chat to really not retaliate, but respond and try to actually open up some dialogue. And whenever it does happen, like bitch made Swaggins, he ends up getting smacked down, which is what happened to Swaggins last night. So, excuse me, I would come to the general conclusion that Phil thought, I can't go on that podcast. I'm not going to be able to keep up with the conversation, and I don't want to look as stupid as people really think he is. What are your thoughts?
Actually, what I think is most likely is people constantly kept bothering him. Don't go on a podcast. Don't go. Here's what they talk about. Here are some segments. Because for whatever reason, his I call them his ass lickers. But the people that are on his side like him, I have no idea what kind of what are they thinking. But they genuinely care about him. I guess they like, but for whatever reason they like Dave. Let's just leave it at that. And so because he was getting constantly bothered by this, I think he eventually did the due diligence and looked up the nuance of the show and realized, oh shit, first off, I don't want to talk about politics because he said that multiple times.
Right.
I don't even want to talk about religion. So let me just make up an excuse, or let me just come up with something that they can provide for me, which is let my people moderate the chat for the show that I'm on. And Ben was probably like, no, that's ridiculous. No. And that was the end, ultimately the end of that.
Is it
again a possibility? Because I mean, look, we saw the clips of people were talking in the chat about Lil Pump the rapper. He's like, well, who's that? Or about Takeshi 6ix9ine.
right?
Now I'm not sure he's that dumb that he has never heard of them at that point, but maybe he just doesn't. I mean, he's not up to current events. I think he said that all he knows about like current memes and what's trendy and stuff like that is from Twitter, which is
yes. He basically gets everything he knows off Twitter. Other than that, it's just wrestling and whatever's on Netflix. And I assume there's somebody on the Peasants who can talk to him about that. But I mean, how long is a Drunken Peasant podcast usually? 4 or 5 hours?
No, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's
depending on different circumstances.
Gotcha.
But I mean, Ben is a wrestling fan. Billy actually trained for sometime when he was younger. He used to go to Canada to take wrestling lessons. So,
really?
But then again, how much you're gonna fucking talk about wrestling? Because Dave isn't really a wrestling fan; he's a WWE fan.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Thank you. Yeah, he's really just a WWE. He doesn't watch AAA. He doesn't watch Lucha Underground. He doesn't watch New Japan. He doesn't watch a lot of shit. He doesn't watch Ring of Honor.
Well, I mean, in New Japan, there are Asians there, so
true.
We know how he feels about that.
Well, I mean, there's America has made some pretty big
in
pushes.
In China, they say "chimi chang chang chang."
Jesus Christ!
So, yeah, what the fuck?
Fair enough.
Classic Metal Gear Solid playthrough moment.
That's a good point. Question: Was any money going to exchange hands? Do they pay their guests to come on?
No.
Okay.
Well, for special episodes where you had to pay to see them, this was back in the day. Ever since the split, they haven't had a special episode. But they had 4 episodes about the Manatee, special episodes, and the Manatee was on 2 of them, and they did pay him like $1,000 for an appearance. But that was like 4 hours. And they grilled the fuck out of him. I think the shows that he was on, it was called Drunken Peasant Special, The Mind of the Manatee, and the other one was I was either Into the Mouth of the Manatee or something else. But I know they had him for 2 shows and they paid him. But other than Brett Keane, no one was ever paid. And they had just like Milo and stuff like that. So people that transcend the boundaries of YouTube.
Okay, so they weren't because I think I said that earlier too, that if they were gonna that would probably be one of the bigger incentives for Phil if they paid him. But then the drive out there, and then when the horse drops him off, she's gonna want to go out to the pasture and play, and that's gonna be all kinds of problems, and so on and so forth. And the Jackal's Lair already has all these speculations on who Tyrone is, and I don't want to get dragged into that too. It's just another thing. Another thing though. And I want you to talk to me a little bit about him taking the knee against Maddox. Why would he feel the need to take the knee against anybody? Like, what's the problem with?
Well, here's the thing.
I'm sorry. It seems like he doesn't want to start drama. I get that, but are they just not confrontational, or what's the deal with that? I guess.
And well, I mean, they are confrontational. They just the show kind of used to be about drama and them kind of arguing with these idiots online,
Right.
and watching their videos and commenting over them. I'm not really sure exactly why, because I'm not like because here's the thing. I'm not all that familiar with the Maddox and the other guy situation.
Dick
Uh,
Masterson.
yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm not sure what happened there. I know that they suffered like massive backlash after
Yeah.
the Maddox episode because they didn't brought up certain topics. I know about that. So that's why I know that Ben has a history of like letting some people off the hook, if you know what I mean.
Uh,
As to why, I don't know. Because I know that also that was the condition imposed by Maddox, and I think he's the only one that had a condition outside of Dave, because like we talked.
right.
But because Maddox was like, I'll come on your show, but I don't want to talk about certain issues. We're gonna watch some episodes. We're gonna watch some videos. Excuse me. We're gonna talk about politics, about some news. We're gonna see some crazy people videos and stuff like that. But we're not gonna touch these specific topics. Which I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Okay, fair enough. I guess it's just they pick people who are locals and they just bring them on. Is that basically what that is? That's basically the point.
Not necessarily, because usually the guests that they have on are pretty cool people. They watch a lot of local videos.
Right, right.
Um,
So let me reword that. So they bring interesting people on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or exceptional people, if you will.
yeah. Let's just
Okay.
use that term. Yeah.
Now, question: how long do you think that they've been kind of courting Dave? How long have they been really trying to get DSP on there?
I
Do
don't
you
know.
think it's been a
Maybe,
little while, or
yeah, I'd say a couple of months.
a couple months? Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, then
I mean, it's not even like because here's how they normally do it. It's like they would just tweet at them, hey, do you want to come on the show? And they're like, yeah, hey, when can you? Oh, next week on Friday. Cool. But with Dave, because he has to have all this bullshit, like, oh, I'm gonna have trolls. My horse is gonna get scared. Oh my god, they're gonna talk about the fact that I jerked off. They hate me. I have all So with him, there's all this baggage. So that's why I think it was postponed so much. Because
well,
usually it's like, oh, hey, do you want? Yeah, are you available? Oh, in like a week or two. But with Dave, is like, oh yeah, in a couple of months, because we have all this bullshit to go through.
well, the thing is, and this is kind of the general point that I wanted to make in that last broadcast, is that this would have been a great opportunity for him to go on a large platform and try to clear the air as best he can. Now, granted, we were gonna pick it all apart anyway. That's what
Absolutely.
we all do. But at least if he has people that are somewhat sympathetic, I suppose, to because he is right in front of them. Initially I thought the podcast would be just done online, and then when I found out that they actually wanted him to go out there, which is a good look on their part, that makes it a bit more personal. You have a couple of drinks, like you said, you pass.
Yeah, because Ben and Billy are extremely friendly people.
Okay, well, and good weed will do that. I mean, good herb will do that. So I can I can understand that. But then let's be honest, Phil don't have iron lungs, so it'd be wasting weed on him anyway. But whatever. In any case, herbal supplements. It'd be wasting it on him anyway. I guess
it's legal, so fuck it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But do you see Phil? This is Phil. We're talking about the same guy though, who ran around and said, "Oh yeah, you got all these people in Seattle who have all these crazy long beards and it's messy and it smells of oil and this, that, and the third."
Well, when he was when he was prior to kidnapping his panda, prior to him moving, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna move to Seattle. They're my people. They're the ones that I'm gonna." No, seriously, because I watched it in the Back in Time video on Tim's show.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Those are my people. Those are the people that I'm gonna connect with. They're gamers. And I was like, these fucking hipsters snort, fucking hate them." So,
oh my God. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's be honest. Phil can't connect with anybody.
because look,
When he went out there,
if I was in his shoes, which fuck me, like who would want to be? But this was a great opportunity for him to have some social interaction, to have some befriend someone. I mean, fuck the gas money. Just go and have a chill time. Play some fucking Street Fighter. Bring Kat, introduce her to someone. But I mean, but then again, this is the deal. Who Kat, after she was scared by Tevin, she ran away with her friends to go to a party, and he stayed at home like a fucking idiot. Like,
That's true, but
he doesn't like to socialize with people for whatever reason. He just.
But that was always going to happen though with the whole Cat situation, as it pertains to Phil and the peasants. Let me tell you exactly how this is going to happen. They're going to invite him in. They're either going to offer him a drink or some herb, or just give him something to make him feel comfortable. Give him a soda or whatever it is that the gout needs. If you get Phil high, and I promise you on everything I know. Okay, not to say that I'm an expert with sticky or nothing with the sticky, but you go ahead and you give him just a little bit. He's gonna literally talk himself off his snout. He'll literally tell me.
Maybe he was also afraid of that. Like, well, oh yeah, if I'm gonna take something like that's gonna be because I mean, who of all the shit he talks on a regular basis, and we know him, imagine the behind the scenes, as he likes to call it, info he has, or the channels he's flagged, or the fucking gay house he's been the gout of for the years and shit like that. So.
Yeah, he doesn't want.
Who knows what he's gonna, say?
Yeah,
so maybe he was also afraid of that.
Maybe, and the second hand of that will creep up on you even faster than if you were actually toking yourself. So yeah, he's definitely gonna be screwed. If he gets a couple of drinks in him, he's gonna get emotional. We've all seen that on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
So that's a bad look.
I mean that's a daily or a nightly occurrence.
Exactly.
He drinks his gin.
Exactly, and then Kat. I'd be interested to see Cat High.
Yeah, because I mean, look, she's so. Oh, okay. Like, I joke about her, like, oh, horse, blah blah, whatever. But right. I genuinely don't have anything against her, other than I find her weird. Like, whenever they appear together, they don't have any sort of chemistry. It's like they're two strangers that you just randomly picked up off the street and just sat them next to one another. They have no chemistry. They have no interaction. She's just kind of dead and bland and like I don't know. It's so weird.
Well, first off, it's an arrangement. I don't care what nobody got to say about nothing. It's an arrangement. Second, and
even so, they live together, so you'd think at the very least there's something there.
Okay, well, all right, and let me retort. So Tevin had said recently, and he made a good point. I think Theo has said it too. Shouts out to both of them. That they had both. Yeah, exactly. Praise be Almighty, and praise Cleo, or
the golden child,
or pet Cleo. One of the two. I like Cleo. I think she's cute. I think what it comes down to with both of them had brought up at one time or another that it's very possible that Kat actually does want to try to spend time with him at some point during the day, like because it's obvious he's not as busy as he says he is, and her work schedule just sounds ridiculous now. Her work schedule sounds crazy. At first, she was working early mornings. Makes sense. I can give him that or her that. But then now you're saying that she was working mid-shift to like damn near overnight and all this shit, and she gets off at 12 o'clock each night and so on and so forth. What is she doing? Is she working at a department store or something? I've heard, shit gets sent to me. I've heard some viable places or so on and so forth. But even still, one of the major problems that each one of these individuals who have sent me their general theories have said is the time that the place closes and by the time she gets home don't sound right, especially since she works in Seattle. She doesn't, she's, as you know, Dave is outside of Seattle, just outside of it.
I know.
So that takes a little bit of time to get home. So she's not coming home consistently at the same time every night. There's traffic. There's all kinds of shit, especially on the weekends. So the schedule don't line up either, according to what Dave says. But both of them have said, and like I said, Tevin has said it recently, maybe it's possible that she did try to connect with him in some way, shape, or form, and he keeps brushing her off. Or, maybe she tries to slip into the room and whatever, try to have a conversation, or maybe even try to play a game together. And he's like, oh, I'm too tired, or oh, my gout's kicking in, give me some cherry juice, yada, yada.
Because here's the thing. The impression that I get, and again, I kind of find that weird, and they have, again, just no chemistry whatsoever. But it seems to me like it's, he really does seem to. I don't think he loves her because I don't think Dave is capable of loving another person. But well, except for his pet bunny, but that's not really a person. But whatever. But at least he does care about her. he does want to be with her, I guess. But it seems to me like she's kind of giving him the cold shoulder, or at the very least, she's treating him how he treated Liana back in the day. You know what I mean?
Sounds like poetic justice to me.
That's the feeling I get. Maybe Tevin is right, and Kat's more of an introvert that she tries to, but she can't really. Maybe
Right.
she's more awkward like that. And since Dave is socially inept, he doesn't pick up on those cues. Maybe that's also a possibility.
Yeah, it is. It's very possible. Then again, and this is like, because I've been doing some research for this other channel I'm working on, and there was a video that I'd found. It was like him doing like a house walkthrough. I know somebody remembers it, and this is when Panda was still there, and he takes a screenshot of his counter, right towards the end of the counter, I should say, and you see like 4 or 5 bottles of medication, and I'm having someone look at it now to see if it can be blown up a little bit so I can actually see what the prescriptions are. More likely, I'm not going to be able to find it. It's whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But that's a lot of medication to have on your table. So either
maybe it was for Panda.
See, that's now initially that's what I thought. But in one of Phil's what's that called? Weekend previews back when he was still doing those. He had mentioned that he takes certain stuff for certain things. He just wouldn't go in the specifics of what it was. You know what I mean? Like what he was taking these things for. So it leads me to believe that at least some of the medication is probably his.
Probably. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, like I forget. I think it's a Gundam who said it once on Twitter, but it stuck with me because it was so funny. Dave's past is a multiple choice, so you don't really know exactly what happened. In one video, he might say something. Oh yeah, I had this friend who had a boat, and there was girls there. There were also girls there towards the end of the story. But then, he was an introvert. Then he was great at school. Then he cocked this buff black dude and danced with his Latina chick. And then he did something else. Then he was on the cocktail of medicine. So then his fucking stupid parents wouldn't buy him that Wolverine doll. So with David's multiple choice, don't really know what the fuck the proper timeline is.
I assume everything is a lie until it can be dissected. Sadly,
because the thing with the Wolverine doll, I believe him 100% because he is that petty of a dude to keep a grudge after decades.
But why keep a grudge though when he readily admitted that after a year I got into other I can recite it to you word for word. Oh, but then after a year I got into other stuff and I didn't really care anymore.
Because he wanted it then at that point for his birthday. And it stuck with him because, his fucking stupid parents, those shitty fucking people who, raised him and provided him with care and protection, and with an education and with a job until he fucked it up, didn't buy him that Wolverine doll when he wanted it.
It was, I mean, the show was useless anyway, dude. To be honest, like it wasn't worth holding on to.
Yeah, but Dave's a petty pig, so.
He's a very petty pig. So then when Dave comes out recently and says, "Oh, I hate Tevin," you hate Tevin, why? Like, give me a really good reason on why you hate Tevin.
Last night, right, when he was playing the Devil May Cry 5 and he was at the final boss, which I haven't seen anyone in my life play Devil May Cry.
He hates the shit out of that game.
Yeah, he hates it, and his reasoning is so fucking stupid. Oh, the graphics are too good. I hate them because I can't see properly.
The graphics are too good. I can't see properly. He has glasses.
I'm serious. That's why he hates it. And then he also hates the story because he doesn't understand it, which it's so easy to follow. I can believe, especially since he's a Dragon Ball fan. Because what Virgil did was basically what the Nameless Namekian did. He like split into two, good half, evil half.
Right.
It's so easy. Like, and the fucking fruit is the plot from the Tree of Might. I mean, come on.
Basically, yeah, it is. It is.
And he's a Dragon Ball fan. Well, I mean, he says he is.
He says he is.
So, I mean, it's so easy to follow, but he hates it because he doesn't understand the plot. What? But yeah, so anyway, he had, because he was playing, he was at the final boss, so he had around 520 something viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what happened with the mods, but he was getting constantly shit on, oh, you fucking suck. "Oh my god, I can't believe you're this bad at this game. How can anyone be so bad?" Because he was playing on normal, and Virgil kicked his ass. I think he had to use like 3 orbs to beat him,
Wow,
which is sad,
that
man.
is sad.
For someone that does this for a job for 10 fucking years, and you're that shitty, and he even played the other games. He doesn't have the excuse. Well, this is my first DMC game. He doesn't
Is it?
have. It's
Was it
like
really?
no. I said he doesn't have the excuse of like, oh, this is my
Oh,
first
okay.
DMC game. He
Gotcha.
played all the others.
You don't
So,
feel don't remember. You don't feel doesn't remember that. A playthrough is only as good as the views that were on it.
oh yeah, well, that's why he hated in the first session because no one, I mean, almost no one tipped him. And then he's like, oh yeah, well, God of War. He made a comparison to God of War, which I pointed out on Twitter. Yeah, well, he hated God of War the first time he played it also because all
Yep.
he did was throw the fucking axe.
Yep.
That's all he did.
And he got mad about it, saying that, "Oh, this is the best.
Yeah,
This is the
the
best set
combat,
of
the
moves I have."
combat, yeah, the combat fucking sucks. Why did they change to be like Dark Souls? I hate it.
Oh, I tell you, and we've talked about this before. Phil should just give up this whole gaming bullshit. Or cut it down. Play one game a week and just open up an IRL stream. He's the closest thing to a male thought on Twitch that you're gonna get. So he might as well open up the IRL stream and just talk about whatever.
Yeah,
No one cares.
just live stream himself sleeping.
Well,
That
don't
would
do
be
that.
just hearing him snort like a fucking pig. That would be.
Doesn't someone already do that? What's that?
I have no idea.
What's that dude's name? The one that used to shit. He was legendary in speedruns before he went through the transition. Cosmo Wright. I'll send you a video on him.
Okay.
He was like the man. He was like the pinnacle when it comes to speedrunners. And then he went through a bunch of shit. I'll send you some videos on him.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I mean, he provides no commentary. All he did for the span of like 15 minutes was like, haha. Man. What? I was blocking. He wasn't, by the way. What? I dodged it. He wasn't locked on, so he couldn't dodge, by the way. It's just him providing nothing.
Dude, you're looking at it wrong. This is interactive streaming in the modern day. Okay? He's trying to catch up. This is what his audience says that they want from him. They want this interactive streaming where he plays the game, looks over at the chat, waits for the money to come in, and then gives them their acknowledgement.
So is he only streaming for the special ed class, or?
I suppose. I mean, he is the special ed teacher. He's the closest thing to it. So I mean,
he's the dean.
He's something. He's the Phil is. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best. Ugh.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It's one of those things. He's one of those individuals where one day I need to get like Secret Life, like you, me, and Secret Life need to have a conversation, and I want to hear like some deep dark lore about that shit. Like I want to hear like the shit that happened behind the scenes that no one ever talks about because very few people know, and Tevin doesn't bring out because he hasn't been. There's nothing that make him trigger it or whatnot. I want to know some about that shit because when I look at Phil, he kind of reminds me of someone who's gone through a whole lot of shit mentally and he hasn't worked it out yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he says that the internet doesn't bother him. I'm sorry?
I mean, he goes through it constantly on a daily basis. And, like, look, Rich might not be, a good person to give as an example of this.
Right.
But he was right in the recent video he made about Dave and that composer. It's like all he does is toxic. All he does is destroy everything, burn bridges, call people fucking idiots. And here's the thing: he's such a giant man-child. I mean, I believe he hasn't gone past 14. Like he hasn't. He's like, I won that conversation, but people were saying I lost. I'm like, what happened was he was lashing out like the silly pig he is.
Right.
And the composer was like, okay, this is a good opportunity. He explained the situation like you would do a child, a toddler.
Right.
And then he basically, like, what he did was an assassination in a Tenchu game, and a stealth game, right? Boom, kill. And then because Dave then responded, and because the composer had other shit to do, then talk with a fucking pig all day, he's like, I won that conversation. You won that conversation? What the fuck are you, Dave? 14 years old? Are you in second grade? You won the conversation.
Hey, it's like I said, a win's a win for him. If you want,
But it wasn't a win.
Oh no, it wasn't a win.
He got.
But see, but think about the trend that's been going on for the last, like, I don't know, let's say the last year, the last calendar year, if you will. The whole situation with Phil now is, can I outlast people? Even though he can't outlast Cat in the bedroom, can I outlast people? Can I hold on long enough to where people just give up and then I can take the win? That's essentially what he's doing now. He did that. He's been doing that with every major gamer who actually tried to take this craft to the next level, and then for whatever reason they had better opportunities and they went somewhere else, or their channel they just were like, you know what, we're done with the channel, whatever the case may be. Oh well, they don't make videos anymore, or they announced that they don't make videos anymore. Oh, I win. I was right, and they were wrong. They spent all that time.
I mean, let me give you an example real quick, and I do apologize for interrupting you. Technically, he outlasted Livier, right? Livier is a fucking millionaire who has his money in different places. He doesn't need to make any fucking videos.
But is $20 okay, dude?
Dude, I mean, look, that was shitty of him, but the pussy said yes. Okay. He was like, dude, it's $20 okay? And he was like, yup.
Yeah.
Fuck him. I mean, why didn't he have the balls to say, no, give me 100 or give me this amount? I'm sorry, but I have no sympathy for someone like that. No, it's like, stand up yourself, bitch. Come on. Seriously. It's like.
Good shit. I understand you 100%. I'm 100% with you. To be honest, I am. It's just. It's not even just. It's the fact that when you're doing stuff like that, when you have people working for you, you don't give them credit on the main channel. You put it on your second channel and bury it in the bottom of a description box.
Oh, I agree. That was the extremely shitty thing to do. I agree, but also it was a pussy shitty thing to accept that $20.
That's true. You cut you're basically saying they sell themselves short and they were okay with it.
Yeah,
you're right.
Absolutely. They hoard the rest out for little. And they apparently were okay with that. So that was it. I mean, it's kind of the equivalent of a prostitute coming after a week going like, well, I'm not happy with the $50 you give me. I want more. Or why you only give me 50? That's what you asked for. Or that was our arrangement. You provide a service for me, and I gave you this amount of money. If you were okay with what I said, then that's fine. I mean,
well, do you consider, and this is going to be going off subject slightly, but do you look at that as one of the fundamental problems with YouTube back then and even now, that we let more influential YouTubers essentially dictate terms, and all we want to do is appease them? Do you see it that way in some degree?
I think it's up to the individual, especially in that particular case. He said again, he was fine with 20. I wouldn't have been. I'm like, no, give me more. But also, I think YouTube should have, for example, a sort of system or something where, for example, a YouTuber with lots of subs or something like that can hire people that already have monetization on the channel, or have some special program for editors, right? Where you can hire people to basically edit your video for you. And have a system where you can either talk about it and work on a set amount for a video, or you can have, okay, if the video passes 50 minutes, if it has these amount of special effects that needed to be added to it, a certain price. You know what I mean? I think YouTube should have a system like that. But since it doesn't, of course, people in a higher position will profit, because it's also, I'm working for this high tier top YouTuber. I better shut up and just take what he gives me. Maybe I'll have more opportunities in the future. It's also that mentality. But again, if someone smells bitch on you, it's kind of the end.
Yeah,
that's my mentality.
No, you're right. I'm sorry, but back to your original point though.
I I kind of forgot what we were even talking about, to be quite honest.
Sorry about that. I have a habit of doing that.
No problem.
It'll come back to you. Let me ask you another question because you are in the anime community, manga community, I should say.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on the Vic Mignogna situation?
Uh, well, here's the thing. I haven't really researched into it all that much. I do know that Vic and I saw the video a couple of years ago. He talked about the potential of someone ruining not only his career but anyone's career, where you just have to have an accusation. And we've seen this with Me Too. Don't get me wrong, with Me Too, it did its good things with bringing up to light something that Harvey Weinstein did and stuff like that. But with Vic, I don't really see nothing has been proven. It's just he is that she said Vic grabbed her butt or like whatever or so I'm just gonna call bullshit on that unless you have some evidence that he did the things you say he did. I think the man's innocent. Again, if a video surfaces with him, sexually assaulting someone, then I'll say, yeah, Vic Mignogna is definitely guilty of sexually assaulting this particular person. If we get a Bill Cosby situation where we have proof that he did it to multiple women, then I'm more inclined to believe even more women that don't have a video footage or a picture of that happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
But as far as right now, because I think right now he wants to sue. I think Funimation, because I mean he his career is basically ruined.
Yeah, it's
he
gone.
was the story, which that's bullshit. Yeah, fuck it, sue him. I mean, if no evidence is provided against him and he's been punished as if he did the crime, fuck it, sue him. Settle in the court.
Did you also hear about how they stripped his name from the credits?
Yeah, which was fucking bullshit.
And then they're trying to take him out of the. They're trying to find somebody else to voice over his.
Again, 100% bullshit.
Indeed.
Because he even has a voice actor, he is an artist, and I think you should be able to separate the artist from whatever else wrong shit he did. You know what I mean? Even if let's just say he's guilty of everything, everyone said about of every accusation, that's still his art. That's still his take on the character, and I don't think he should be taken out of the projects he's been in up until this point. Because I saw that they even want to recast, Ed from, Alex, excuse me, from FMA, which is fucking horseshit.
Like I said, they want him out of everything. And the thing is this hasn't even gone to court yet. So, like, I would assume Funimation is going to end up getting hit with some type of breach of contract over that.
Dude,
because, and as they should, don't be wrong. I mean, to be honest with you, we should boycott Funimation altogether. Really, Japan just needs to pull all of their projects out of America altogether. And either you learn Japanese or you just read subtitles. Just do that. Fuck it. I think the fact that it went on in a public space for this long and Twitter did nothing about it. Twitter's like, hey, you guys need to shut this shit down or you guys need to, whatever. I think it's kind of shitty. But it's similar, though, to what happened with on the what's his name? Oh, Joe Rogan. On the Joe Rogan Experience, they had that one guy on there. What's his name? Oh, I'm so terrible with names. He was part of that whole Kilroy situation too. To do with the
shit.
The guy with the hat. You know what I mean? He's the first one to pull out, and he pulled out publicly, and that's when
I know, but I don't.
Yeah, I can't think of it now.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me. But what he was on there and he was basically talking about, hey, what are your thoughts on all these different people getting banned for expressing an opinion while you're protecting these people? And he basically ripped that lady to shreds, who was the CEO. It was kind of interesting to watch though, because her and whoever the assistant was basically laid out who they try to protect and who they don't, even though they say they don't protect anybody. It's absolutely fascinating. I'll send you the link on that.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Back to your original point, though, you were bringing up Leafy and how popular he was.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. What I mean was because you're saying about all he wants to is outlast people. That doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Leafy is here. He was popular, and now he has his money. He has and I know this from the interview he did with Keemstar fucking months ago, I think. Or he said that he's investing in things. and he's not interested to return to YouTube at all. So compare someone like Leafy, who's basically a millionaire now, and doesn't really have to do much for the rest of his life if he's careful with his money. Compare him to Phil, who begs every day. He knows he has to beg every day. He even said, I might be living every day begging for cheers and tips on stream until the rest of my life.
Right.
So how is that better? Even if he technically outlasted Leafy, how is he in a better position?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well,
And him outlasting things, that doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Excuse me. I also wanted to point out a bit of a hypocrisy on Dave's part. I know, added to the giant pile, but when because you remember with Machinima, he went to the top dog and he was, no, I'm important. I have my 10-year legacy. I did nothing wrong. I demand to know why I don't have ads on my videos. And his manager was like, Dave, calm, chill the snore down. Don't go to my superior. But he still did. So he basically ignored the chain of command, right?
Right.
And it was a communication issue, right? Now, when he talked about having someone to look after the condo in Connecticut and manage it in his place, he told the guy, look, this is when I stream, Snort. Don't call me at this hour, just email me. And then the guy just called him, and he was like, how can I trust someone who doesn't follow the chain of command? How can I trust someone who doesn't do what I tell him, who can't communicate with me, Snort? But he did the same fucking thing. Essentially.
He did.
Yeah, so how the fuck is he not a hypocrite in that case?
Well, Phil's a lot of things. The guy's name was Tim Pool, by the way. But,
yeah.
Tim Pool. But Phil's it's the warped reality that Phil lives in, to be honest with you. It's almost like everybody bends to my will, but I don't owe anybody anything.
It's almost like a child who, even though he might, maybe I'm wrong. Nah, I'm not. It's everyone knows that's wrong. I what kind of a fucking grown-ass adult says I did nothing wrong? I did everything right. Who does that? Seriously. Like, what kind of a fucking mature adult and not a whiny baby says that?
Well, the same person who asks his mommy and daddy for money every month.
Oh, yeah, the same person that flew his dad over to fix his fucking toilet.
That's insane. He's never going to live that down. He's never going to live that down.
I mean, I think I was talking to Jack, I was helping him with a copyright strike issue. And I compared I know you are somewhat of a gamer. I know you like certain games, but there's this kind of obscure game for the SNES called Lester the Unlikely. Have you heard about it?
Only in passing.
Okay, the nerd did a video on it like 3 years ago, but it's basically a Prince of Persia style game. But the main character is a fucking nerd who, when he sees a turtle, he runs away and screams like a fucking bitch. That's Dave, basically. When I heard about that, the fact that he, when it was snowing, to get to his mail, instead of just walking, he took the car and was like, okay, cat bitch, you go outside in the snow and take the fucking mail. I'm like, what kind of how, as a woman, okay, let's just try to look at it from the perspective as a woman, of a woman. How can you be with someone like that who is such a inept person? Like, just, I don't. Who takes the fucking car to get the mail, even if it's snowing?
Well, one, it's because he's inept. It makes him I suppose, and I use this word loosely, an attractive situation. I said loosely. It makes him it makes him an easy target, I should say. Because at the end of the day, since neither one of us are in that house, we don't necessarily know what's going on in there. I would assume that on camera, Phil can boast about whatever the hell he wants, whatever that comes in that, snorty little mind of his.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes his delusions of grandeur are extreme sometimes. When you listen to him talk, it's like, holy shit.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But I would assume Cat runs shit around there. For example, we haven't seen a DSP tries it in however long. It doesn't matter. He's just bringing him closer and closer to diabetes. But he's not going to – but he hasn't done one. But he hasn't done one. And he said it, and he came out and admitted it a month or two ago, that the reason why I don't do it is because Kat said, no, you need to stop this, which is probably similar to what Panda was doing, or at least trying to do towards the end, before she ended up getting out. So
and also he basically admitted and add one of the pile of hypocrisy
Mhm.
But and it's because look, him going back and watching his old videos is a horrible idea. I don't know why he thinks people are gonna just throw money at him. That's not gonna happen. Um, but it just exposes because he basically admits certain things, like the fact that he only bought the condo to get laid. Number one,
Yep.
but he
Which is
also said,
pathetic.
yeah, that back in the day he made these DSP tries it, and then all of these vlogs because it was easy money. It was the gravy train
Yeah.
back in the day. So it was just a shitty quick video he could make to get some money.
And how much did he
That
say
was
he
it.
made off those videos? He said he made like $300 or $400 off those videos. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's insane.
it is. But keep in mind, during that time, he was criticizing people and saying that, I just was gangbang to get on the stage of E3 and shit like that. He was criticizing people left and right for being shills, for being this and that. But he was doing opposite of what he was preaching, basically.
And I think everybody knew it.
I mean,
Everybody- I just think
yeah,
I
but
just think what you is who you're talking to or
oh
referencing.
yeah, no, but it's like when you look at him talking, get pissed off, and it's like you might think maybe he's coming from a genuine point, even though um he's not communicating it right. But no, he's a piece of shit through and through.
No, he is, and that's kind of the most. It's one of the most defining things, at least in my
Yeah,
experience,
and the
of
fact
making
that
videos.
and what amazes me the most is he wakes up, he looks in the mirror, he is a piece of shit, he knows he's a piece of shit, and he's okay with being a piece of shit.
Well, yeah, some
If you
people in
go,
life are just okay with having a
if you
shitty
go back to
situation.
your drunken peasants, I apologize, I'll let you speak in just a bit. To go back to your drunken peasants, I guess comparison, and my like sort of deal with Dave is to me what the manatee is to Paul and TJ. If people that are familiar will get this, because yeah, I was there since 2008, since the Spider-Man Web of Shadows video. I used to be a supporter of it. I used to buy this bullshit until when I kind of said fuck it, was the Kingdom Hearts stream incident with Panda. I was like, no, this was the last. This was the last drop that filled the gem bottle, Dave. That was it for me. So, yeah.
Why did it take you that long?
Well, I mean, I mean that was the ultimate point where I said, like fuck it for a couple of years where I wasn't really interested in, like I basically stopped watching. I watched him because I mean you have to keep in mind this was in 2012. So back in the day, if I wanted to see this is a new game, I would just kind of watch a part or two. You know what I mean? To see what the game's about and what or just you follow the story. But I wasn't really an active supporter of him for like a year or so up until that point. But yeah, I mean 2008, 2009, and 2010, I used to watch him pretty much all the time until slowly but surely, he with his attitude just kind of drove people away to the point where he is right now. I mean, he blames the trolls and shit that ruined his channel with the copyright stories a couple of years ago, but no one forced him to delete the like 3 million views worth of videos. No one forced him to do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, here's my next question, since you kind of brought it up, so I think it's only fair. What drew you to Phil in the first place? Not just to his channel, but and to his content. So, what drew you to his content, and what kept you around?
Sure. Well, have to keep in mind, like 11 years ago, I was like 14 years old. So number one, different mindset. Number two, what are many people who play new games? Oh, a new game is out today. He has 20 parts up already. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just kind of had a different mindset back then. And he even admitted, like, he would like say some ridiculous shit to you, dry and like young people, because back then you could basically say whatever you wanted. And I guess that was, I mean, looking at it as content back now, I don't know what the fuck was in my mind. Like, I have no idea. It's something I can't really explain, to be honest. It's like, I kind of liked it because I guess I was young and had a different perspective at that point. But as I grew older, as I matured, I looked at Dave and for different perspective, and I was like, what the fuck even is this shit? So, the Kingdom Hearts incident kind of was again the last thing when I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm not. So I didn't watch him for like I was a year or so, maybe even two, and then I would just tune in every couple of months to see the drama because at that point, this is how we don't play. People were starting to make videos about him. I think Tevin started around that time. Um, he got swatted, so he was kind of constantly for a while. He jerked off, so he was constantly, in the news, so to say. So I couldn't escape him. So I kind of naturally was drawn back to the director side of the, I guess community, if you want to call it that.
Okay, that's fair. And what are your thoughts on? I guess what are your thoughts on maybe the last 2 or 3 years as it pertains to Dave?
Oh, fine. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. I mean, we've talked about this before. We talked about him. Um, all he can do now is because look, a part of me doesn't really think that he had. Okay, let me try to make a more concise idea. I do believe because he is stupid enough to have tax issues, right? I don't believe it's 20,000. Number one, I think he's doing the same thing he did last year, where he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna lose the house." Hashtag save the house. But he admitted this year that he didn't pay any taxes last year, even though he begged a lot. So what happened with that money? As you know, we kind of realized that was to transport his horse through the various states, right? So because that was kind of that wasn't cheap. So
Right.
he didn't pay taxes to bring Kenton to live with him. Now, again, I don't think it's 20,000. That's kind of fucking ludicrous, to be quite honest. There's no way. And even if it is that, all that's gonna happen is he's gonna be put on a payment plan. He has to pay maybe $300 a month, right? I don't think
Right.
he has to sell his fucking house. If he truly is in that desperate of a situation, and he has to sell his house, fuck him. I didn't, use his money to gain that much debt. He did that to himself. If you do something, there's consequences, and that's it. But again, I don't think he's in that of a financial distress, in my opinion. He might be. I just don't. I mean, because if he was, then why does he have so much money to buy himself a PS4 Pro, a new TV? And he basically admitted that, where he's like, "I'm basically the person who donated the money to buy the TV." So it's like, come
Mhm.
first off, how stupid can you be? And second, I mean, I guess his subconscious has to come out somehow. Maybe that's why he has those Freudian slips. Um, but again, how does he have all that money for gin? How does he have all this money to buy games and stuff like that? So again, the fact that he constantly bitches about money issues is kind of questionable, in my opinion. As to where he'll go in the future, uh, I don't know. Right now, he's hinting about returning to the 10-minute formula, which that will be disastrous for his YouTube channel.
Yep.
I assume he's going to continue on Twitch, and just kind of drag on and beg for cheers and tips until he can't do it anymore, I guess.
Well, with that being said, it's being that it's March 13th of 2019. How many years do you think he has left in him?
I don't know. Technically, I guess until he dies. Because I mean, what's to stop him from doing it even when he's old?
Right. Well, I would assume okay, how much longer do you think the audience, I wouldn't even call them a fan base, how long do you think the audience will hold on to it then? Let me rephrase the question.
I don't know. Personally, to me, it's inconceivable that someone would give him money even at this stage, but people still do. Even though I think that the larger tips he does get, or the Emerald 7 whole situation, I think there's something not quite right, and we talked about this previously.
Yeah,
But yeah, the people like, oh, here's like $5, here's 20, here's like 100 bits here, like 200 bits here. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have an answer for you. I mean, why do you think people still give him money?
Why do I think people still give him money?
Mm-hmm.
It's broken down into a couple of different parts. You have those who troll, You have those who legitimately want to...
Yeah, but I'm like excluding the people who troll to just troll to people that genuinely like his content or whatever he produces, and like why did they continue to support him financially? That I
okay, I got you. I think one, no one generally likes Phil's content. I think that's an illusion. That's a lie. I think I think what's left is, I think those people are already gone. I think what you have left are the remnants of people who just don't have enough life experience to understand that this man's not going to be out in the street if he fails here. I think that's what it is. It's all, at this point, it's just sympathy. And he's literally wringing out the last bits of it. There is nothing else. If Phil loses his fucking house tomorrow, he's going to fly back to Connecticut to his condo. If the condo burns up and bacon grease flames, then he goes back to his parents' house. He has all the options in the world. He's not going to be destitute. If he loses that fucking house in Seattle, then he loses it. I don't wish for it to happen, but it will. I know it will. I got confidence that it will. But he's not going to be out in Seattle streets whoring himself.
Oh, absolutely
not. It's not going to happen.
Nah.
It's not going to happen. He's going to go back to Connecticut, and he's going to man the fuck up. Because how are you going to sit there and tell me, oh, I like it here better, and I can't go back to Connecticut because all the snow and all the bullshit, this, that, and the third, and you shoveling snow now. And he admitted that he's been shoveling snow. Well, he was shoveling snow almost every day for the last couple of weeks because that's the only way Cat could get in and out of the driveway.
Yeah, but you're forgetting something kind of important. I kind of have to agree with him on this case. Did you forget that the Seattle air magically fused his muscles with his spinal cord back together?
I heard about his mutation or whatever the case may be on that. That's good for him. But you know, at the end of the day, he's got nothing.
Piece of shit. Yeah, he lied.
Yeah, he's got nothing. There's nothing that holds him there. It's not like he's there to enjoy the people, the culture, the atmosphere. He's not there for any of that. It's his little safe space.
That house is his own prison.
Yes, it is. It's very much his own prison. And he can't even get himself out of it now. He's so used to it. What do you call that? Not Stockholm Syndrome, but that's kind of what it is. He's used to it. He's comfortable. You know what I'm saying? The man doesn't even know his neighbors. How the fuck do you live in a neighborhood for X amount of years and not know your neighbors?
Send them an email.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. We're contacting people through email? Like, this is how we're going with it? I can't walk over and be like, hey, Joe, how you doing? Hey, man, would you mind watching the house for... well, Phil never leaves nowhere.
Yeah.
He never goes nowhere.
I mean, he does go like once a week to buy Cat some carrots, but other than that...
And I don't even want to get into that about, oh, we spend one day with each other, but we're running errands. Then you're not spending time with each other.
Oh, yeah.
You're not spending time with each other. I'm sorry.
Nope.
That doesn't make any sense. So he's going to lose, and he'll probably lose Cat too, eventually. You know what I'm saying? If she hasn't already.
Because again, looking for that, for her and for the female perspective, what woman would want to be with him? Like, be his partner in life? Like, who?
Well, she came out of a shitty situation too.
I mean,
not to say that the boyfriend was bad to her. It's just he got fed up. She had to get out, and then she stumbled into date. But then yet again,
maybe it's just a rebound, but
maybe. But at the same time, though, too, I have to say he's a predator. Well, he's an opportunist. Maybe I shouldn't call him a predator, but he's certainly an opportunist. Being that you have this chick who's vulnerable. Obviously, you guys came to some type of agreement or an arrangement. And that's why she's there. Because there's no love there. Like, Jesus Christ. I remember watching old videos of Panda. She used to throw herself on him. And he hated it. He hated every minute of it. And you look at Cat, and it's like he's almost... When him and Cat are there, he's almost indecisive. Like, when he puts his arm around her, you can tell he's not comfortable doing that. And she's certainly
exactly. It's that awkwardness. It's really see-through. It's like... And when he told her, like, hey, the chest is if you want to give me a kiss on the cheek, you know, the infamous meme. It's like, that was so fucking cringy. Like, like,
that's one of the few moments. That was one of the few moments.
It was creepy. Like, honestly,
it was creepy. Well, what was creepy about it? It was cringy as shit. But what was creepy about it is when he looked directly into the camera.
Oh yeah, with that. look at his face. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, that fucked with me a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't lose no sleep over or nothing, but it's almost like the serial killer type shit. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say it was kind of like a John Gacy look. That he
yeah,
had.
it was like John. It was unnerving. It was very
yeah,
unnerving.
unnerving is the perfect word. Yeah,
And that's kind of the problem with that. But she's not. You're right. Even though we don't understand exactly what it is that keeps her there, it's certainly not going to keep her there forever. And the thing is Phil can't survive by himself. Like, we learned that with Panda. He can't really survive by himself. That whole war dog leader situation, you remember that when?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if your brother. Yeah, that should have never happened. That whole event should have never happened. He should have never been spouting off about how hard life is because I don't have someone to make me meals every day, which is goddamn pathetic. Only for him to say 2 days later, "Oh, I like being back at the bachelor lifestyle." That whole situation should have never happened.
Yeah, because also that's Dave's problem. By him not having any friends, he doesn't have anyone to vent all of this bullshit to. So he has to talk with his chat.
He could call John. Tell me sorry. I mean,
he did nothing wrong. It wasn't his fault.
And holding on to that, like, you know what I'm saying, John and Howard are in a better place now.
Absolutely. I mean, they look happy. Like,
yeah, they do.
You know, John still does the show from time to time, and if you listen to him, he genuinely seems like he's happy and he's moved on, and I'm happy for him.
Indeed. But then I think that's the reason why Phil holds on to Brian the way he does. Because if you think about it, Brian's really the only connection between John and Howard and just his old group of buddies, if you will, and Phil. He's like that last link, in the chain, if you will.
Yeah, to his previous life.
Yeah. Which is funny because isn't he the one who told us that he wants to move on? You can't live in the past. And yet, as Tevin pointed out last night or the night before, why don't you play other games with Brian and Kekken? Why are you only playing this one game, Apex Legends?
Oh, dude, that thing with the past, he pisses me off so much on that because it's like, okay, stop bringing up the past, man. That was 10 years ago. I changed. Why do I get criticized for some things I said 10 years ago? Okay, Dave, let me explain to you. Okay. You never apologized. You still act like a piece of shit.
Right.
It's like someone who, and this isn't an extreme, right? But it's like someone who killed someone 10 years ago, right? And he got a life sentence. Why am I in jail still 10 years? That was 10 years ago, dude. Come on, let me go.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like that, actually. I've learned my lesson. So let me off the hook.
You haven't. You're still engaged in the same fucking behavior. But also, again, added to the pile of hypocrisy, well, I am a pro fighting game player. I was the #1 ranked American player at EVO, but even though he was not the 4th rank, but overall, but whatever. Right. The #1 ranked US player, because he has to scratch and claw to make him sound even better as much as possible. Right. He can't say, "Well, I won 4th place." I was the #1 highest ranked US Super Turbo player, which is kind of a scummy thing to do, but whatever. Well, but yeah, so.
I was going to say, he knew he was going to get backlash over that. He knew it.
Whatever, fuck him. But yeah, like, he always pisses me off. Like, that was 10 years ago, dude. Like, stop living in the past. Like, yeah, I said that, but it was 10 years ago, so who cares? Again, you never apologize, fucking ass. Oh, okay, let me give you a better example, right? So you have a best friend, right? But you're supposed to leave the next day, right? But the last day you have to spend with your friend, you beat the fucking shit out of him, right? You hospitalize him. You meet with him after 10 years and go like, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" And when he tells him to go fuck yourself, what? How did you talk like that to me? That was 10 years ago, dude. I changed. I'm a better pig now.
Nah. Phil's people like Phil were destined for failure. Like, I know people hate it when I say that, but it's true. For some people, failure is just in the stars. And Phil's like one of those.
He's not a failure, dude.
He's a failure.
I know
he's a failure. He's a failure fundamentally in everything he does.
Look, if I heard if it came out that tomorrow that Dave in the middle of the night when he go take a fucking piss, tripped on an empty bottle of gin and cracked his fucking skull, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. I'd feel bad.
I wouldn't.
I don't want to see the guy dead.
Me neither, but I mean, he did it by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's how Phil's going to end up meeting his end if he doesn't do himself off. It's just how he is. Like when you look at Phil, like for example, I'm looking at Phil right now because his retrospective stream is going to be starting soon. He when I look at him as an individual, there's nobody really like Phil. Like there's people you can compare him to, and there's
Yeah,
this
like the vanity.
yeah, like the manatee. And there's this girl that I'm currently following who on Twitch, the one who said that if you're not, what did she say? Oh, she said if you are not contributing on Twitch, you're a leech. You know what I'm saying? Which is insane. Which is absolutely fucking insane. Because last time I checked, Twitch was a free platform. But whatever.
But again, Dave, he didn't go that far, but he did tell his YouTube audience to step up because they're taking him for granted.
Oh no, Phil has definitely gone there. He may have not called people leeches or whatnot, but he's crossed that threshold. For sure.
He didn't waste people constantly on his streams, but because he doesn't use that much profanity, well, anymore. But the things he says are still reprehensible. They're still horrible to people. The things he actually says, it's just that he doesn't call people leeches and fucking give me money or whatever. I'll ban you. Or he doesn't go to those extremes. There's kind of this perception that he's just a streamer trying to do his best, blah blah blah. So people kind of do have that perception of him, which is fucking insane. But
well, that's one of the points I was going to make earlier. Now that you brought that up, is at least in the time that I've made videos, the general misconception that you get is you got people who are entertained by the video, the people who follow Phil and understand his bullshit and just laugh at it, those who are frustrated by it, those who defend him, and then this group, which you have this group of people who are kind of naive to who he is, and they're just like, and they look at him and they're like, okay, so the guy's really shitty at gaming. Why do you guys keep bashing him? Like, what's the point? And that's fine. Like, if you dislike my voice, if you dislike the video, if you dislike whatever you want, the channel, it is what it is. Did you get the message though? But you didn't. I know you didn't because you said you didn't. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, you're free to move on your way or do whatever you got to do. Or I can recommend something better to you. I've done that plenty of times, and I have no problem with doing it. But you're still missing the underlying point. Like, you don't have this many people out here at your throat for no reason, for being a good guy. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way. I know everybody wants it to, but it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's what. How can he be a good guy or just a decent person whenever something happens that irritates him? Again, going back to the composer thing, he calls people fucking idiots, brainless morons. Just like we say, he burns bridges constantly, and that's why he's the laughing stock of the internet, or one of the laughing stocks anyway, and a massive lolcow. And he doesn't get it. He takes himself way too because he takes himself way too seriously. He has way too much pride, but not at all. This is the guy who said, Thank you. If I could be on my hands and knees right now, I would do so and still be on. But also, he's like, don't criticize me, don't make fun of me. It blows my fucking mind that someone like that exists. To be honest, sometimes, and that's why he's such an interesting lolcow. How can you both be like, thank you so much on my knees if I could, but don't criticize me, don't talk shit about me, don't. I don't act. I go ha 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 ha.
Nah, it's I don't know. It's how his mind split up. I remember Declan Reed. He's actually a really cool guy to follow on Twitter and whatnot. He actually he's the hero in his own mind. He's the tragic hero and the triumphant one, all wrapped up in the same thing. And he can't decide which one is which, so he just picks one at random, and it just makes his whole story look bad. It makes him look more inept than he really is. And don't be wrong, he is inept, but he's special about it. He's really, really special about it. And I think that, which leads to my next question. And why do you think so many people have faith in Phil? Let me reword that. Why is it that there's so many larger YouTubers and streamers willing to work with Phil, knowing that Phil's only going to take advantage of the situation or them, and is probably going to end up talking shit about them later, if he didn't already talk about them previously? Why do people still feel compelled to help Phil limp along hoof to hoof? Just your opinion.
Well, I kind of have to ask about which people are we even talking about?
A couple of people. Well, there was I think his name is it Cryos? He's on. I used to watch him on YouTube, and I definitely watch him on Twitch every once in a while. He's really big. Like he's been around for a very long time. He's very good at what he does. He's done it. There's been a couple of different people who have reached out to Phil
And
at one
Phil
time
said
or
no.
another. Yes, each time he turned him down, or he just never answered back.
I honestly, I have no idea. Maybe would they want it just for the lols? Maybe they kind of know him in passing. Maybe all they know is, oh, he's the guy that jerked off and nothing else. Maybe they don't have enough knowledge. Maybe they just want something to collab with for that video, or they want to just collab with a lot of people in general. That's a team of the channel, or that's something that they want to do. I have no idea.
Okay, well, that's a fair answer. All right, so let me come at you from another angle.
Why do you think people have an inkling to or try to contact him and collaborate with him?
It's a sense of human decency. I think despite how bad an individual is, people are still compelled to want to help that person, just no matter what. And we at times will overlook the most heinous shit about a person in the belief that there's somebody actually better inside. And people, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely
there's nothing wrong with that. It's debatable, I guess, but there's nothing really wrong with that fundamentally. But someone like Phil is a parasite, so he'll just bring you down with him. He'll drown you to save himself.
Oh, absolutely.
And
someone made a perfect point, which made me laugh a lot. Because I posted a meme I think a week ago, about, and I know you're familiar with the 7 Deadly Sins with the anime and the manga.
Yes.
Where I posted the meme about Hawk in the manga, Hawk in the anime, and a picture of Dave as a Netflix adaptation. Because
I saw that.
Yeah, and someone said, because I said it's an insult to Hawk's awesomeness, but there you go, have fun. It's a funny thing. And someone said, nah, Dave wouldn't be Hawk. Excuse me, if Dave was Hawk, he wouldn't jump in to save Elizabeth and Meliodas from Henderson's blast. He would go around and pickpocket the dead bodies for whatever goal they would have on.
Yeah, he would.
Because that's Dave. Dave is a parasite. He's a piece of shit. And there's no human decency, or the human decency that was there got lost with time, and he is who he is by his own making, and that's it. Dave is Dave.
That's we should write a book, and that's what we should title it. Just Dave.
Exactly. And also the fact that he hates the name Dave, because I think that's the name of his dad, is also extremely hilarious.
Really?
Well, or maybe it was a meme or something, because when the whole thing about Dave is someone called him Dave, and he got pissed off like a couple of years ago. My name's not Dave. Stop calling me Dave. But then someone found out that there's a Dave Burnell who works at or worked at one point at a helicopter, company that did the same thing. So maybe that was his dad, Dave Burnell. So maybe that's why he got so pissed off. Don't call me Dave. That Dave isn't my name.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Because I think I saw that in one of Tevin's videos.
Is that like so could that be like an underlying disdain for his own father?
Oh yeah. I mean, Dave doesn't. I mean, his dad clearly, he does harbor some resentment towards. I'm not sure what the relationship with his mom is. I think he harbors some resentment towards her also because, and again, Dave's past in his mind is multiple choice, so we don't know what's true or not. But he said that his mom, because when he was younger and he pre high school, he always used to not go out. He always used to study. But when he entered high school, he met that dude with the rich dad with the boat, and he wanted to go out more and do all this and that. And his mom was like, But Philip, why do you want to go out with your friends? You always studied inside. And he had this argument with his mom. So again, if that's even true, I don't know. So I do think he does have resentment towards them. I mean, who calls their parents? Nah, they had the money, but they were just fucking stupid.
Stupid. Yeah.
But I mean, the vitriol and the hatred, fucking stupid, and that is just hardcore. It's fucking stupid.
Let me throw this at you real fast because I've been thinking about this for a while. So, in one of Tevin's Back in Times, once he puts them all back up, you'll get to see it. But in one of the Back in Times, right, with the moving episode, actually episode 6, it's up. No, I think he never took that down. That's when they were moving across country. There was a couple of different times, right, where Phil is talking about, oh yeah, I need to go by my mom's house to pick up this. I need to go by my mother's house to pick up that. And then he takes a minute, like there's this moment of pause. You know what it is. And then he's like, oh, I'm at my parents' house. I'm at my parents' house. I got to go by my parents' house. I am under the sneaking suspicion that his parents are divorced. And they've been divorced for a while. And he won't talk about it. And so if you go back to some of those old Connecticut vlogs and shit, he's usually like, yeah, I got to go by my mom's house. I got to go by my mother's house, this, that, and the third. Now, I remember distinctly before he moved into that condo, he said he was living at home. And then once he ended up getting into that condo, he's like, yeah, I'm going to spend the holidays with my parents, this, that, and the third, because they only live, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes away or whatever the case may be. So maybe they worked their shit out and they got back together for a little while. Who can say? But at least if not divorced, they were separated for a while. And I think that
might be the case. Yeah. I mean, because the first thing that popped into my mind was because when Dave, called his dad to fix his toilet, he said that his mom couldn't come because she was sick or couldn't fly. Right. Yeah, maybe they were separated at that point. So, of course, they wouldn't both come to fix his fucking toilet. So he only called his dad. That might be the case. Again, might not. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, let's be honest. Up until that point, the only thing, like I said, he cared the most about was Bunny. I mean, Bunny is the one that he put it on his Christmas tree recently, not his mom, not his dad, but yeah. Bunny. So,
well, I don't know if there's any pictures of his parents in that house.
I don't know.
Now that I think about it. Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an ugly one. Anything else? Was there anything else in particular you wanted to touch base on?
Not really. I mean, have we talked about his aunt?
The one that gave him the one that gave him gout?
Yeah, the same one that used to stay in his condo until she died. Yeah, because I think we had that conversation, which wasn't recorded. I don't believe. Because whenever I talk to people and I say something, they go like, "Whoa, how can you even say that?" And you had that moment where I said, I don't think Dave's gonna go to his parents' funeral. And you were like, kind of distraught, like, what the fuck? Like, how can you say that? But going back, he said that his aunt couldn't live by herself anymore, right. And after a while she went to an old retirement house or whatever, and eventually she died. But we never heard about him going back to his aunt's funeral. You would assume this person is important in his life, right? At the very least, I mean, he did let her to live in his condo. Right. You would think she's important, so why didn't? It was too much of a hassle for him to go, I guess. Well, also, there's one other person, and this is kind of fucking disgusting. His sister, but not really, kind of a cousin who he grew up with, but she had drug problems, if you remember. Right. And he doesn't. I didn't keep contact because of her drug issues.
Okay, so all right. First, the aunt. Yeah, he never mentioned anything about that. He tried to give us the crocodile tears last year over that bullshit when he was trying to drum up support for money, but obviously no one believed it. No, she was merely a means to an end. She was paying a little bit of money. He was getting something out of the deal. When she passed away, sorry, that old bird is gone now. She gave me gout, and that's all she ever gave me. Kind of fucked up, but that's how Phil thinks. As it pertains to the cousin, I think, in my own personal opinion, is that whatever her drug issue is or whatever the problems that she may have, it's very obvious that her parents or his parents care deeply for her. And I think Phil picked up on that early on.
And maybe he was jealous
and he's probably jealous of it. He's probably extremely jealous of it. And I think you and I talked about this. If anything ever happens to them, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the main person, if she is the main person in that will. Even out prioritizing him to some extent, or at least splitting it in half.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a possibility. I mean, because also you have to think about the fact that they're old, they might not be on the verge of dying like he said,
Right.
because they're just dying to see Cat, fucking asshole.
That was poor choice of
Yeah.
words.
Um. Yes, but because I mean, look, let's just uh look at it this way. What if his dad dies? Let's just say that they're not separated, right? They're a couple. They live in their house, whatever.
Mm,
Let's just say that his dad Dave, dies first, right? Because that's
right.
how it usually happens. The man usually dies first. Not every time, but usually. Do you really think Phil is gonna go and stay with his mom and take care of his mom?
No.
Fuck no.
No.
Okay, bitch, we throw him in the house for you, and that will be it.
Well, one, how's he going to pay for that house?
I mean, does he
Or
have
not for the house, the retirement home.
a pension or something?
Oh, I never thought of that. I never thought it. Yeah, I never thought of that actually. He may have a pension somewhere, or Social Security, or something. Hopefully, retirement.
I mean, she must get something at the old age, when she's retired. I mean, I have no idea how things work in the USA, but here you do get a very bare minimum, even if you haven't had a job for a long time or stuff like that. But you still get something. It's not
Well,
like you're old and don't get anything.
here I'm thinking Social Security. If he had a pension from one of like his current job, if he has a nest egg somewhere, with some investments, she would get that. There's some options, but yeah, there's some options.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Jesus Christ. Nah, Phil's not flying home for that.
No,
I would think he should, but we had this conversation now.
yeah. I mean, also, this is the guy, and I still can't believe that this person exists. When he was with Panda, I think it was Panda's brother that had a wedding, and they planned it for months and months and months. And then when it was revealed, oh, Fallout 4 is going to be released the same weekend, he bailed out on a wedding to play Fallout 4 early because his gout has somehow managed to get an early copy, which is insane.
Yeah.
But then of course, he denied it.
Oh, he still denied it.
But by the way, those people that get early copies and have gameplay up are pieces of fucking shit, human garbage, mentally ill idiots. By the way, but when I get an early copy, that's okay. Or when I download Dark Souls 3 off of the Japanese
server,
of Xbox Live, yeah, that's okay though.
Oh, so I wouldn't mind living in his world for one day, but I feel like I'd go insane doing that. So I'd never be the same afterwards.
Yeah, it's like when you stare down in the abyss and it stares back at you and it blinks at you.
That's Phil.
I mean?
Yeah, that's Phil, and that's kind of scary, to be honest with you, because like I guess as you do this and as you meet people and so on and so forth, you get a fundamental understanding of what, or at least what I always was hoping for, to get an understanding of why people follow him and why people do videos on him. And everybody's opinion up to this point, or reasoning, I should say, is different. And when I look at SOK, and I kind of look at, and not to go in too deep to it, but when I look at what they had, I'm still wrestling with the idea of how did it go so corrupt? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand it's kind of like the whole King David situation, right? Like, it was like a bloody rise to power, and then it's even more of a bloodbath to keep it.
Yeah, but that was also a hobby gotten towards an obsession. In many ways, I think, because the things that they did,
right,
I wouldn't approve ever of
right, absolutely
doing it towards anyone. I mean, and with Dave, you don't even have to, because the idiot fucking doxed himself. So
yeah, he did.
you don't have to.
Well,
but again, in that case, I think it was just a group of people coming together with a common hobby that just went to the fucking deep end and became kind of an obsession in many ways. Which is sad to say, but it happens.
It's just overfill. Like, really? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, what can you say? And also, the people that truly, believe in the ideology of gout. If you look at them, I mean, look at I think it's a recorded conversation of like the King of Hate Live was something where he talked with Sidella, and even Dave couldn't fucking take it.
Yeah.
That was fucking awkward.
Yeah.
And like, I would genuinely want to have a conversation with Swaggins though, and just ask, like, not berate and not insult him. I will always say, don't give the Dave money. You're better off wiping your ass with it. But hey, it's your money. Fuck it. Do what you want with it at the end of the day. Personally, I wouldn't give him a fucking dime. Or even half pesos because he doesn't fucking deserve it. Well, hey, if you want to, do what you want. It's your money. But just ask him, like, what do you find entertaining? What do you find attractive in his personality? What do you think about his commentary? Like, what do you think about the world in general? Because in a way, people tend to not open up, and you kind of have the opposite effect when you talk about things like that, like politics, religion, blah blah. But I genuinely think it will be interesting to see the ideologies and the things that these people believe outside of just Twitch, and how their mind works and how it takes you. You know what I mean? Because I think you gain much more insight other than just, hey, why do you like Phil or why do you don't, or why do you give him money? You know what I mean? How did you end up in this current predicament? Why did you gravitate towards Phil? Like, what's not in details, but what happened in your life? Like, are you in a bad spot? Are you are you happy? Are you happy with his content? Are you happy being part of his community? Are you happy banning people that disagree with him? Why don't you want him to answer some of these questions and have a conversation with a more moderate detractor, for example? Not Tevin, because he sees Tevin as the devil, even though Tevin is possibly the nicest person to him out of this whole, I guess, community of people who make videos on him.
Yeah, I would say he's certainly, Tevin's definitely in the top. He'd be in my top 3, my top 5. Well,
yeah, because I wouldn't be the person to talk to Phil, because I would get way too riled up, give him my pass with him and stuff like that. Right. But I mean, Tevin would be perfect, or if not you, I guess, because you would just ask him, like, hey, okay, kind of like in an interview, you know what I mean? I would love to see that. But here's the thing, Dave, just in a way, Dave is a more successful, in a way, Steve Shives, if you know who Steve is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think he said at one point that, me and Panda hate fucking SJWs, but he acts by the book.
Like one.
Exactly, by the book.
He acts like one. I don't know how that can be mistaken. He's almost through and through an SJW.
Yeah, added to the pile of hypocrisy.
As it pertains to your point, though, about having a conversation with him, if I had to, before I even put myself into that conversation, I would if I had to vote for a couple people to speak to him, definitely Tevin. Mm-hmm. I definitely like Arjun or Theo to talk to him. I feel like Arjun or Theo would get a lot out of him without feeling super threatened. And
I don't think so, because
really,
yeah, but I mean, Theo restrains him, so he fucking hates him. He doesn't really mention Theo all that much.
No, it doesn't.
Also, I mean, that is kind of interesting, and it kind of goes into his views on different people.
Right?
Why does he fucking hate Tevin? Because I mean, plenty of other people restream him. I mean, I kind of hate to go there, and I'm not even joking. But is it because Tev is black and he doesn't like that?
It could be, but with Tevin, the thing is with Tevin, that's a long-standing type thing. Like you go back into Tevin's archives or whatnot. He's tried to reach out to him. They've had at least a conversation or two, and so on and so forth. But if you're not with Phil, you're against him.
Yeah, because oh my god, yeah, this is what I was wanting to bring up a point with him and going back to Rich, because we know that they made that pussy video only for his patrons when he responded to Rich. With Dave, because he talked about being a fair weather fan, and Rich, he had my back when I jerked out like a fucking. It's like either you're an ass licker or you fucking hate him and want to see his life ruined. There's no in between. There's only these two extremes, right?
Right.
Which is such a childish way to view the world. but he has that. So that's why I don't think that conversation with Devin, because he sees Devin as the fucking devil, is not gonna happen with you. It's not gonna happen because again he restreams him, and thus he's at the extreme of like, oh, he's my hater. He wants to see me on the street begging for money. Oh wait, I do that already. Just on the street. So yeah, that's why I think honestly maybe you are the only person that he will possibly have in an interview, or just look, it's not even get juicy things out of him, because that's I don't want to make him say stupid shit. I just want to see his genuine opinion on things that have to do with the real world, like fuck Twitch, fuck streaming, fuck gaming. Like his opinion on like politics, on global warming, on religion, on other things.
And if I could, and like I said, my bad. Let me finish the original point. Like I said, Tevin, Theo, Argent, and then I'd put Lightside Bill in there. Like Lightside Bill,
yeah.
He could like Lightside Bill might be able to get mileage out of him. And fifth person, I honestly want to give that to James the Lesser and probably even Dante Crisis if they combo together. If I had a conversation with Phil, I really just kind of want to interview him, and though I want to rip into him because he's just meat that needs to be torn up, his worldview would be insightful. The problem is, there's no problem. His worldview would be insightful. I'd like to kind of understand what makes him tick. The problem is I'm not one to be suckered though. Neither are you. Neither are most of us. Like, we would see through it. And even if I have to grit my teeth through that shit, he's going to feel my aggression through that microphone. He's going
yeah,
to feel
the same thing with me. Like, as soon as he pulls some bullshit with me, I'm just gonna tell him to go fuck himself, because I can't literally restrain myself again based on the years of experience I have with this fucking news. So that's why I said that an interview format would be the best. And yeah, again, you or Dante, I guess would be the people to deal. But again, I just even Steve Shives, at one point, he, kind of, and this is like years ago, when prior to this whole wave of SJW bullshit, he still kind of engaged with his like trolls or people that disagree with him. He didn't used to block comments. He still kind of had a period where he was kind of interacting and discussing ideas. They've never really had that period. Sure, he was on a podcast where the meme "Our Body Dark" was created, right. but again, that was someone who was one of his sycophants, and they didn't even talk about anything of substance. They were just talking about, oh yeah, I have troll. It was basic bullshit, basic bitch shit. So I would definitely want to see him and then just ask him a couple of questions, even if he bullshits through them. At the very least, to see what he says and possibly, deviate here and there, depending on the topic, or just talk with people in general, like how more, because ultimately this hurts him so much in the end. Not going on shows, not going on podcasts, not collaborating with people. It only hurts when he burns those bridges. Because if you go, okay, hey, do you wanna, with that guy that you said that's pretty huge as a gamer, right? That wanted to collaborate with Phil. He looks at Phil, who he might not go like, well, let me just do him a favor or like whatever. Let me just have him on the channel. Maybe give him some positivity, right?
Right.
And then Phil's like, no, and he just in his usual Dave toxic way, he refuses. Then that person will go like, oh, okay, well, I'll never interact with you again, and a bridge was burned.
I feel like Phil doesn't look at it that way. Actually, now that you brought that up, you remember the whole situation with him and Low Tier God?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you do. Of course you do. So I still firmly believe that Phil has a hand in that, in him getting kicked off Twitch.
Yeah.
Just a snidge bit. But when you go back and you look at, because I watched Low Tier God's response video recently, and where he was basically like, hey, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to have to I don't want someone else to basically rebuild themselves, if you will, off of my back again. I understand where he's coming from. I can. Well, I don't understand. I get it. I should say I do understand, but I can't relate to it. I understand what he's saying, though. I do understand that. And so maybe, just maybe, that was Phil's opportunity. Phil was looking at it as, oh, well, who's someone who's equally as hated as I am? Oh, well, low tier God. So I'll use him as my springboard, and I'll try to get myself back to relevancy. And maybe low tier God looked at that and was like, nah, you're not gonna. I already went through this once. I'm not doing that again unless you're gonna make it financially worth my while. And Phil didn't have no money to bring to the table. And the video I made, I was like, you guys build this up for a month. Build this up for a month, and then have a joint stream, and there could be money to be made on everybody.
I mean, Dave's a WWE fan. I mean, this is basic shit.
Yeah, and he still messed it up.
Yeah,
he still messed this up. This was Attitude Era shit.
I mean, I think he was afraid that he was gonna get his ass whooped.
He was. I don't even doubt that.
And he can't. I mean, of course, you would have blamed the lag, blamed his fucking control that he just done prior to the match starting. He would have blamed every which way. Oh, the wind was blowing too fast and whatever. Like,
and let it be the ultimate bad guy in that shit. Then, if you want, it was a fluke. It was bullshit. It was that.
But then again, no, because he says he's the king of hate, and he takes all that hate and fucking transforms it into his force and his gout. But do you remember?
And it gives him strength.
Yeah. Do you remember when he was an active in the fighting game community? Oh my god, I can't believe I'm going on a small tangent. He said he used to troll LaShuriken.com, but now he says that people that troll him are mindless, are people that troll are brainless idiots and mentally ill people. So according to him, he was that like a decade ago. But whatever, that's just a tangent. So again, added to the pile of hypocrisy. Now, he had this conversation with he talked about a guy, and then he found out that guy was actually kind of a badass, and they were supposed to have a fight. They had beef with each other, but Dave called him and was like, okay, let's rip out our shirts so we'll reveal like DX shirts, and we'll both take the heat. I'm not gonna be the one that's gonna get all the hate. We're both gonna get it. Yeah. And the guy was like, no, that's fucking stupid.
It's fucking gay.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not doing that dumb shit.
Yeah. And then actually, I think the guy saved Dave from getting an ass whooping a couple of years later.
He did. Yeah, he stepped in when Phil ran his mouth to somebody else, and he was like, hey, man, let it go. And they were like, all right, fair enough. Which is insane. Just imagine you had someone talk shit to you, right? And then 2 or 3 years later, you're stopping somebody else from beating the bacon off of him, beating the bacon bits, if you will, off of the same individual over the same situation almost. You step in and be like, hey, man, he's not worth it. That's insane. I mean, I respect it, but that's insane.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I just had a flashback. Dave, in one of his rambling fucking back in the day, he talked about arcades and he talked about going with his dad, and E. Honda was the first character he ever picked, right? But he used to go to this arcade and things would get heated. And I think he mentioned once that 2 people got into a heated debate, and one was like, okay, after you leave here, I'm gonna wait for you in the parking lot, and I'm gonna beat your fucking ass. And then he said that the other kid was so afraid he tried to like go through the ventilation shaft or try to exit somewhere, and he got stuck. And so the fucking firefighters had to come. Now, but looking back, was Dave that guy?
I hope so.
Because I mean, he would be the kind of fucking asshole to take something that happened to him and basically use that in a shitty video, to like a shitty quick video to make some buzz. Because again, back then it was the gravy train, like whatever, put whatever shit diarrhea content on and get money.
What do you if you had to give me a time period on when that happened?
What was that? Man, I don't remember. Late 2011, 2012 maybe. But I don't think it was back in the day, but I definitely remember. Maybe it was on the King of Hate vlogs or something like that. But I definitely remember him talking about that.
I'm gonna look that up. I want that clip. I want that sound clip now.
Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely believe that could have been Phil. I absolutely believe it.
Yeah, because he started talking about Street Fighter 2, because he says, "Oh, Street Fighter 2, what eventually became Turbo is the greatest fighting game of all time."
Mm.
But his experience with it, like he went with it with his dad, and Hana was the first character he picked, and of course he beat his opponent, even though he was like 9 or 8 years old at that point. Of course, he instantly was able to beat people, and he got popular, whatever, and he used to frequent this arcade. But people had the argument fucking scared. He got stuck somewhere. I think it was in the ventilation. I think he tried to exit the window from the bathroom. I don't remember quite exactly, but I know that you skip from a fight. He wanted to run away, but got stuck. And I think the firefighters had to come and basically help him out. So my idea was maybe that was Phil, and he said it was someone else. Because again, that's the type of shit Phil would say. I'm not saying it's him. I'm just saying it would be fucking funny if that was him.
It could be. It could be. It definitely gives me something to look at. That's for sure. Because
again, maybe the reality is it was him, but since in Dave's mind his past is multiple choice, it was someone else.
Maybe, which leads to another thing that just you had me thinking about, because we were talking about remember how they found out he was valedictorian? They found the school, they called it, and this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
I said this in a broadcast before. I'm surprised no one tried to look up a yearbook that he was in and try to talk to some of his classmates and find out. Now, I'm kind of glad no one has. To be honest,
because that's kind of borderline,
Yeah, that's starting to get there. That's
Yeah.
I could see a group of people doing some shit like that, but I'm glad they didn't.
Mhm.
But I will say this: the girl that Phil said he was obsessing over right around his pill popping days for his depression and all that shit, I'm really surprised no one's found her. I'm glad that they haven't, but I'm really surprised no one has found her yet.
I mean, I personally think it might, and again, take what I say with a grain of salt,
Right.
because on another occasion, on an alternate to reality, an alternate telling of his past, he talked about how this Latina chick, basically, even though he never talked to her, he danced with him, and she basically had this boyfriend who was black, but he was, basically built, and shit like that, like a football player.
Mhm.
But she liked him because he was the nice guy. Nice guys finished last, and shit like that. So maybe it was this Latina chick that he was obsessed over, and in his mind he concocted this like fantasy about. Even though they never spoke to one another. Oh, she went there and grinded on him and danced with him all of a sudden, and then the next day, even her former boyfriend at that point, hey man, where's Phil? I want to hook them up and stuff like that. So I mean, that's not reality. Like, who the fuck would ever believe that?
It's very, I had hypothesized that also, that it's very possible that was the girl he was obsessing over, because he said that they talked for a little while and then the summer came and they just both went their separate ways, or she moved, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and then after a couple of years he saw her and she had a bunch of children, and then he was like, oh well.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. What do you think his disdain of, in your own personal opinion? Why do you think he has such a disdain for children, man?
Because he has the mind of a child.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, this is the guy who was like, thank God that fucking annoying bitch kid left. If she, or if it talk shit like me in real life, I'd have slapped the fuck out of him. There's the clip there of him saying this. So, I mean, look, it's okay if you're annoyed by kids. I'm just happy he's not gonna have kids. I mean, can you imagine being raised by him?
No, I've already talked about that to an extent. Their childhood would be horrible.
Yeah.
Like publicly, like in a public setting, their childhood would be horrible. As for Phil, he would be similar to Monday Matt. He would have almost no connection. He really would. He'd have, because I remember when Matt was when his girlfriend or whoever that was pregnant, and he was like, I'm scared that I'm not gonna have any connection to that kid. And then everybody was saying that he was getting cucked anyway. So I was like, well, shit, the kid isn't yours anyway. But that's neither here nor there. I think Phil falls into that same category.
I think there's a test he can, to see if that child is really his. Put two boulders, and if he chooses the right one, it's the Quarry King's kid.
It might be.
Right?
Not the not quarter pounder. No, not at all.
Quarry King.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
But Phil's fundamentals, though, as it pertains to children, is for me, I always, was resided to the fact that he can't put somebody before himself.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's also a problem that he has. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't. But at the same time, I wonder if he has some type of childhood event that fucked with him to where he doesn't want to have kids, or maybe he heard. I had said this once that maybe he witnessed an argument between his parents, right? And they were like, you know what? The only reason why we even have Phil is because whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. I mean, well.
And Phil took that to heart, which any child would, but he never let it go. Like, I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I'd assume it was hard. It'd be hard to hear that if you can comprehend it, of course. But what do you?
Maybe that's that because I mean he clearly has it's not like some people or some couples that well we just don't want kids, whatever. Right. They don't have anything necessarily against kids or can't stand them or anything like that. Whatever, they just don't want to have kids, whatever. Yeah. Each their own. But Dave clearly has a fucking disdain, and he generally gets annoyed by kids. Mm-hmm. Like that's something more deep there than just. Oh, well, I'm not good with kids. I'm not good around kids. I don't want to be around kids. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's just like, get the fuck away from me, you fucking creepy shit.
Yeah. And maybe, and so with that being said, then him and Panda were going to fail anyway.
Yeah, I mean.
Because Panda always wanted, even though Panda said, oh, I don't really like kids, this, that, and the third. Come on, man.
Dude, she didn't know what the fuck she wanted. She was like, what, 20 at that point?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know shit when you're fucking 20 years old.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So she got with a better guy. I'm sure. I mean, as long as things are going well for her.
Honestly, hopefully she's happy now, and I just wish her the very best. To be honest.
I agree.
Because no one deserves to have a life partner that goes like, okay, fucking wake up. I know you're sick, but you have to make me food.
Make me dinner.
Yeah, maybe dinner, like the fact. Or no, you have no right to take her to the hospital. Just give her a pill and leave her there.
That was insane.
Yeah.
That was fucking insane when he said that.
Yeah, fucking psycho.
Like what do you want her to be heavily medicated and just be left somewhere?
Yeah.
Like where were you? And that tells me that he never had any intention of picking her up. Like you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, it was his car, so he basically went. To get his car back, and he got a fucking sandwich out of it because I think he ate her sandwich.
He did. He ate her sandwich. All she wanted was what the saltines.
Yeah, that was the most because you can kind of figure out how Dave's mind works after exposing yourself to him for a while. Mm-hmm. That sandwich was the most important part of that whole trip because the way he described it, the way it made such an impression on him because he described that fucking sandwich for like five minutes. He was on the topic of the sandwich. That was the most important part of that whole trip.
It was a DSP tries it, bruh.
Yeah, and it's like you have this human being, right? Whatever you want to break up, whatever. It's still a fucking human being who at one point you loved. Or you said you loved, you moved out fucking cross country.
Right.
How can you just be such a empty, vacant asshole and not feel anything for this human being?
My dude, you've heard him. He talks about food like it's the most passionate thing in the world.
Yeah, or when he gets a large donation, his eyes just fucking spark. Like oh yeah, money, yeah. That's when he's happiest, though. Clearly,
money and food.
Yeah, but again, like I don't have a good relationship with my dad. Like to get a bit personal, he basically left me and my mom when I was 2 years old, and my dad's kind of a fucking asshole. But if he was in the same predicament as Panda was at that point, I wouldn't go like next time you just give him a fucking pill and leave him there. Not even for my fucking dad, who, again, rocky relationship, whatever. But even for someone like him, I wouldn't go like give him a pill and fucking just leave him there on the street. Who does that? Who says that?
Dude,
Well, seriously, how much of a piece of fucking human-filled garbage can you be to say something like that? And with confidence, too, as if he was right, as if he did nothing wrong.
That he did nothing wrong, and that's why he said, "Oh, later on." Well, you remember because he said it during that Christmas stream, like in 2017. Oh, what I said, me putting her business out there. Should I have said that? No, maybe at that time I should. Maybe keyword. Maybe I should have said that, but we weren't together, so it doesn't matter. So what? You guys were living under the same roof, like you said. She was driving your car. She meant something to you. And
also the entitlement he has, like, oh, they waited for a couple of hours, because she was, I mean, she was basically, she had to stay there because she was, sedated at that point. But the self-entitlement is like, we sat there for a couple of hours and no one came and we had to wait. What the fuck? This is bullshit. As if no one in the fucking hospital, in the emergency section, by the way, has anything else other to fucking do than go to the king of gout and ask him, "Are you okay, sir? Do you want some gin? Do you want to watch a movie while you're waiting? We apologize for you waiting. You did nothing wrong. You did everything correct. Do you want what are your needs right now, Mr. Gout?"
He wanted accommodations. He treated that shit like it was a hotel, dude. And he wanted room service.
Yeah, like it was one of his suites.
Yeah, like it was one of his suites and shit. I couldn't even explain it. I couldn't. Like, Phil's just, he's on a different wavelength that normal people, and I use the word normal loosely because
he kind of reminds me of those billionaires that live on another different like fucking realm and don't get it. You know what I mean? But Dave isn't a billionaire. He doesn't live that lifestyle. According to him, he can barely keep afloat as he is. But he still kind of has that fucking mentality.
But in his head, he deserves that, though.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's so fucking slick to even say out loud, but then you go, "Oh yeah, it's Dave." Yeah, you're right.
In his head, he lives. It's a what would you call that? Like a delusion of grandeur.
Yeah.
It's. Let me ask you a question.
I think he is a fucking psycho on some levels. Because no one has those illusions, and I even said this like plenty of times, excluding like fucking pedophiles, like serial criminals. Dave is the number 2 lowest person on the planet that I can think of, in terms of like internet locales and just normal cool people in general, with the exception of convicted criminals, right?
Right.
He is the second greatest piece of shit ever. The first one is Brett, because Brett. Going back to him a bit, he has a couple of, I think there's 3 cases of domestic abuse charges. He beat his wife this was in like fucking 15 years ago, but regardless, he still has them. He beat his wife like 2 times, and one time he beat his own mom who had cancer at that time.
Jesus.
And was dying.
Holy shit.
So, yeah. So far, Dave hasn't done that, so that's why he's number 2. But
wow.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, and everyone that's listening, if you want, just search Brett Keen's situation part like 1 of 7. There's a guy that compiled every segment, every interaction he had with the peasants. They talk about his domestic abuse cases. They talk about everything. He is the only locale greater than DSP in my mind. No matter how much I might try to talk about him and get you to get it or understand him, you have to see it for yourself. And it's kind of the same with Dave. Like, normal people wouldn't believe if you try to explain to him all the things he's lied about, all the things he's done. I'm talking about Dave now. Normal person wouldn't believe he really said to just give her a pill and leave her there. Come on, I mean, really?
Yeah, the regular person.
I think that most people are decent, but shit always constantly happens to decent people, and they sometimes do bad things. Because good things happen to you, bad things happen to good people. I genuinely do believe that most people are good, but some people are just assholes, complete pieces of shit, and Dave is one of them.
I think he transcends being a piece of shit, though. If there's a level above that, he's there. He's been there.
or below that.
Or below it. Yeah, he's been there for quite a while. Is there anything else that you want to touch base on, sir?
Oh, that's kind of it, to be quite honest. Yeah, that's basically it. Until Dave does something stupid.
Which you will. This retrospective event's going to be a train wreck. So.
Yeah, I'll probably see how it goes. I'll probably stream it. Actually, do you wanna hop in on my channel? Do you have time?
Yeah, I can do that.
Sure. I'll stream that. Yeah, and the fact that he won't take any. Oh, also, why the fuck would you go with Cat to the places you went with Panda? Like, seriously, who does that?
I couldn't even tell you. I really did. I really can't. It breaks human logic.
It's not even fair. It's not fair to her.
Well, fair to her. We don't talk about the peasants here.
Oh, yeah,
where everybody's beneath him. What's wrong? Come on, man. You know how this works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you, ladies and gentlemen, I can't really stress this enough. If you are not Phil Burnell, then you're beneath. Period. There is no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And if you're somebody who gives him money, and I say this with the utmost honesty, he doesn't like you and he doesn't respect you because he doesn't have a reason to.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. You give him money and you're merely there for that. That's the only function that you have in life. Mm-hmm. And that's all he'll ever expect.
I mean, even if all of your life, right? Oh my God, Dave is such a great guy. I contribute to his streams, blah blah. And Dave is on his deathbed, right?
Right.
And he'll still go, hey, fuck you. Like, he doesn't care. Like, I mean, he cares for the money, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't respect someone like Swaggins. He backhands him whenever he gets out of line, just like a hoe.
He does.
Boom,
He
bitch,
really does.
Get in line.
He really does.
And it's amazing to me that after getting host max so many times, Swaggins just goes in line, goes like, yes, master, okay, and just opens his booty hole, and doesn't rebel, doesn't tell Phil to go fuck himself. Like, I just don't get how someone can be so submissive. So
it's very possible he just doesn't have it in him.
Maybe.
And if you think about it, that's kind of what Phil attracts directly to his fan base, I should say, is he kind of preys upon the weaker individuals.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's the illusion of strength, or wow. But you know what I meant. You know what I meant. He's kind of the illusion of strength, and people want to gravitate to that.
To hear someone say it out loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't want to be the first one to do it. I really didn't. Sometimes it's not good to be the first. Yeah, it's just a different type of situation. All right. Well, like I said, I don't want to hold you guys any longer. I don't want to ramble on. Just nonsense in general. If you guys are listening to this, hopefully you caught the retrospective event. I don't want to actually post this when the retrospective event is going on, because laugh at that for the next 5 or 6 hours or however long it's going to be. But this will be up tomorrow. Be up on the 14th. I'll probably have it to go up early that morning, so you guys can check that out. I might actually even premiere it. Might do that.
Yeah, actually do that because it's cool.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll actually premiere it.
Reactions.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And we'll go off that. But thank you very much to G Money for presenting me with this and then coming out. And ladies and gentlemen, you guys know what the slogan is. This is DSP News, always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. A GTG and a G Money network and productions. And don't catch gout. Don't do it.
And that will take the gout away.
Exactly. You want to give us a final snort on the way out? I love that. Later, guys.
No, there's no podcast in the works, everyone. I told everyone it was never locked in. It was something I was planning, and it just didn't work out, honestly. So I'm not doing any podcasts, no. In reality, the truth of the matter is that I don't want to go on a podcast and have it, instead of being something positive, turn into something negative. And I'm actually not saying anything against any hosts or anything. It has nothing to do with that. What honestly I'm afraid of is, let's say I go on a podcast and all the haters, which you know they would show up, okay? So now you have what is that? A new audience of people who are being exposed to me for the first time. I don't need the sea glide fragment. A new, group of people being exposed to me for the first time. They look at a chat and all they see is people saying, "Oh, this is the guy who masturbated for the thousands of children and is a pedophile and abuses women and he had an escort." And, like every negative thing that's ridiculously untrue about me, all being said at once in one area. And all that's going to happen is anyone newcomer who hears about me will be like, what the fuck is that? Right? And in addition, I hate to say it, one of the actual things I'm really afraid of if I were to do a podcast is people coming in and saying really insulting things about my girlfriend. Because, they try to, and I can control that in my own streams. Like I have a mod team that makes sure that stuff gets taken care of. When you're on someone else's podcast, you're at the reliance of whoever is working on that podcast, and you can't say, oh, by the way, if I'm going to be on your podcast, you better have like a crack team of mods to make sure that people don't come in and insult my girlfriend's personal life or her looks or stuff about her past that's nothing to fucking do with anything related to me. Yeah, you can't. And so after weighing and balancing all the things that could happen, I said, I just don't think it was worth it. Like the overwhelming amount of negative shit that could have happened as a result of this podcast versus any potential positives, I think the negatives outweighed the positives. And because of that, I said, you know what, I just don't think it's worth it to fuck with it. It's a shame because I think it would have been something neat and something different to do. It's definitely outside of my comfort zone and the kind of stuff that normally I would have done. And I probably would have enjoyed doing it. Because as you guys know, I've been on talk shows before or whatever, and I enjoy it. I enjoy discussing topics with people and just shooting the shit or whatever, which is actually exactly what it was going to be. There was only going to be a short segment about me. I was actually going to sit in on this show, this normal podcast these guys do, and be like a guest and talk about news topics and all kinds of fun stuff. But sadly, when I realized how much trolling I would have gotten, not only me but my girlfriend as well, I said, this is not worth it,